An entire world sleeps silently beneath the ocean. From the legendary spires of Atlantis to the mystical halls of Shambhala, cultures everywhere tell stories of magnificent cities lost to the deep. This video uncovers the profound reasons why these sunken city myths appear across every corner of our world. You will discover a startling connection between ancient flood memories, the hidden parts of our own minds, and the universal lessons these stories carry for us today. We will explore why our ancestors looked to the sea to explain both our greatest triumphs and our deepest fears. What forgotten truth about ourselves is buried with these sunken legends? Our earliest stories are not written on stone but reflected in water. For ancient peoples, the or swallow the evidence of human folly, preserving these truths in the collective memory of a people. This foundational awe is the very first thread in the vast, interconnected tapestry of sunken city lore. These flood stories echo with a startling consistency across the globe. A great deluge rises, sent by higher powers to cleanse the world of a civilization that has lost its way. In the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, the gods decide to wipe out humanity, sparing only one man and his family. In Greek lore, Zeus sends a flood to end the Age of Bronze, leaving only Deucalion and his wife to repopulate the earth. These are not just tales of survival, they are profound moral dramas. The water is a divine reset button, washing away what the gods deemed arrogant, corrupt, or flawed. And what remains as the ultimate symbol of this lost world, the sunken city? It becomes the physical evidence of that golden age, now lying on the seabed as a permanent memorial. This submerged metropolis is more than just ruins. It is a cautionary tale carved from coral and sand. It whispers a universal warning about hubris, reminding every generation that no achievement, no matter how grand, is permanent. Our greatest works can be returned to the deep, leaving only a legend behind. This cyclical view of history, where creation inevitably meets destruction, is cemented by the haunting image of a city beneath the waves. These legends of sunken worlds carry a second, even more powerful current, the profound sorrow for a lost golden age. Atlantis, as chronicled by the philosopher Plato, was not merely a city of great wealth. It was a society of unparalleled advancement, a marvel of concentric canals and bridges, possessing a knowledge of engineering and governance that the ancient world could only dream of. Yet its splendor was matched only by its eventual pride, leading to its catastrophic descent beneath the ocean. This pattern echoes across the world. In the vast tapestry of Hindu texts, we find the legend of Tripura, three magnificent flying cities built of gold, silver, and iron. Their inhabitants achieved a celestial level of existence, yet they too succumbed to arrogance, leading the gods to destroy their paradise with a single, fiery arrow. These are not simple stories of punishment. They are much deeper. They represent a deep-seated, almost genetic human nostalgia. They speak to a universal feeling that we have fallen from a state of grace, that our true potential and highest knowledge existed long ago in a utopian past. The ocean, in its endless, silent depth, becomes the perfect keeper of this secret. It does not just hide ruins, it guards the very evidence of our forgotten perfection. The waves are a symbolic blanket of collective amnesia, and the legend of the sunken city is the persistent, haunting memory that something magnificent is lost, waiting just beyond our sight for the day we are wise enough to reclaim it. But could these profound stories of loss be more than just symbolic tales? The ground beneath our feet holds its own memories, and emerging science suggests our oldest legends might be rooted in real geological events. The dramatic conclusion of the last ice age, roughly 12,000 years ago, was a period of immense global transformation. As the planet warmed, massive ice sheets melted, causing ocean levels to rise by hundreds of feet over centuries. This was not a gentle lapping at the shores, but a relentless, continent-altering advance of the sea. Vast coastal plains, which had been home to early human settlements for millennia, were slowly and irrevocably swallowed by the waves. One of the most compelling examples is Doggerland, a sprawling, fertile landmass that once connected the British Isles to the European continent. This was no barren wasteland, but a rich hunting ground, a place where communities lived and thrived. Today, it lies entirely beneath the North Sea, a silent, submerged world known only through core samples and sonar maps. The oral histories of countless indigenous coastal peoples around the world echo this experience, containing remarkably detailed accounts of ancestral lands that were lost to the encroaching ocean, stories preserved with care across hundreds of generations. It is a powerful and humbling thought that the haunting image of a golden city beneath the waves may have begun with a far more humble truth: the slow-motion loss of a cherished homeland. These submerged landscapes provided the factual bedrock, the raw, emotional material of a real catastrophe. Over time, the memory of a flooded valley could transform into the legend of a sunken metropolis, blending genuine history with a deeper, symbolic meaning about the fragility of all human achievement against the immense forces of nature. Carl Jung's theory of the collective unconscious suggests we are all born connected to a deep, shared well of symbols and stories. This is not a personal memory bank, but a universal one, filled with what he called archetypes. These are the fundamental blueprints of human experience, the recurring characters and motifs that appear in our dreams and myths across every culture. Among the most potent of these archetypes is the sunken city. Psychologically, this image is a perfect representation of our own unconscious mind. Just as a lost metropolis rests in the silent, dark pressure of the deep sea, our own forgotten memories, our hidden potentials, and our most primal instincts reside in the depths of our own psyche, far from the conscious light of day. The journey to find a city like Atlantis, then, becomes a powerful metaphor for the journey of introspection. Diving into those dark waters is like turning our gaze inward, bravely exploring the submerged parts of ourselves. We are all, in a sense, searching for a lost kingdom within. We seek to reclaim the wisdom we have forgotten, to integrate the parts of our personality we have cast aside, and to understand the mysterious currents that drive our thoughts and actions. This is why the legend feels so universally true. It resonates not because we all share a literal history of a flood, but because we all share the internal experience of having a hidden self, a vast and unexplored territory that holds the keys to who we truly are. The ocean's abyss is the world's unconscious, and every story of a sunken city is an echo of our own deep, personal quest for wholeness. Our own dreams offer a profound key to these ancient mysteries. When we sleep, the rules of our world dissolve. We can fly, we can breathe underwater, and we can wander through impossible architectures that defy every law of physics. This dream logic, this fluid and symbolic way of experiencing reality, is strikingly similar to the descriptions of mythical underwater realms. In countless shamanic traditions across the globe, the journey to the spirit world begins by crossing a body of water. A river, a lake, or the ocean itself serves as the threshold. Through deep meditation, prolonged fasting during a vision quest, or ceremonial practices involving sacred plants, individuals would enter profoundly altered states of consciousness. In these states, the mind's inner landscape becomes as tangible as the physical world. A practitioner might experience a vivid descent into the depths, discovering luminous palaces made of pearl, cities with crystalline spires that sway with the currents, and entities of immense wisdom. These were not mere fantasies, they were real encounters with what the culture understood as the divine. The experience felt so authentic, so tangible, that it was interpreted not as a metaphor, but as a journey to an actual parallel world. The paradoxical nature of these visions, where time flows differently and physical laws are suspended, perfectly mirrors the legendary accounts of places like Atlantis or the undersea kingdom of Mu. These realms are consistently described as operating by their own strange, dream-like rules. This suggests that the blueprint for the sunken city may have been first drafted not on any map, but within the deepest, most creative layers of the human mind. The stories told upon returning from such a journey were reports from a frontier as real to them as any ocean, weaving these powerful internal visions directly into the external mythology of a people, giving the collective unconscious a permanent home in the legends of the deep. This idea of a submerged world born from our dreams leads to an even more profound layer of meaning. For countless cultures, water is the ultimate threshold, the shimmering veil separating our everyday reality from the realm of the divine or the land of the ancestors. The ocean floor, in this view, is not a graveyard for a lost human civilization, but the very foundation of a celestial kingdom that was always there. The Celtic otherworld, a place of eternal youth and feasting, was frequently accessed by crossing a misty lake or stepping into a sacred spring. To dive beneath those waters was not to drown, but to be reborn into a higher state of being. A city resting on the seabed, then, becomes the most logical and magnificent expression of this belief. It is not a place that fell, but one that was always present, just on the other side of a liquid barrier we cannot normally cross. This transforms the sunken city from a cautionary tale into a promise. It represents an attainable paradise, a reward awaiting those who prove themselves worthy through great deeds, profound wisdom, or spiritual purity. The inhabitants of this hidden metropolis are not the ghosts of a flawed humanity, but eternal beings of immense knowledge and power. They possess secrets of immortality and cosmic understanding, living in a state of perfection that mortal life can only hint at. This is why the quest to find such a place is so compelling. It is not an archaeological dig for ruins, but a spiritual journey for enlightenment. The city beneath the waves is the ultimate destination, a glowing beacon in the abyss that assures us there is something more, a state of grace that exists just beyond the limits of our perception, waiting for the moment we learn how to truly see. Plato's account of Atlantis is far more than a simple story of a sinking island. Written in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, the tale was a sophisticated thought experiment, a philosophical weapon aimed directly at the heart of Athenian society. He crafted the image of an astonishingly advanced civilization, a paradise of concentric rings of water and land, blessed with immense natural resources and technological marvels beyond the understanding of his contemporaries. This was a society that had it all, yet, according to Plato, that was precisely its downfall. The Atlanteans, in their power and splendor, grew arrogant and morally corrupt. They abandoned their virtue and launched a campaign of imperial conquest, seeking to enslave the known world. It was this hubris, this overstepping of natural and divine limits, that called forth their destruction. The gods, in their judgment, sent earthquakes and floods, plunging the entire island beneath the waves of the Atlantic in one terrible day and night. The story's power lies in this deliberate fusion of wonder and warning. Plato was not recording a historical event, he was illustrating a philosophical principle. He held up the mirror of Atlantis to his own Athens, a city itself growing increasingly ambitious and imperial. His message was stark: no civilization, no matter how powerful or technologically gifted, is immune to the consequences of its own moral decay. The ocean that swallowed Atlantis was not just a body of water, but a symbol of the inevitable reset that follows when a society loses its way. This is why the legend has endured for more than 2,000 years. It transcends its ancient Greek origins to ask a question that echoes in every era of human history. What are the true foundations of a lasting society? Is it technological might and material wealth, or is it something deeper, a commitment to justice, wisdom, and humility? The silent, sunken halls of Atlantis serve as a permanent memorial, reminding us that the greatest threat to any civilization may not come from outside its walls, but from the corruption growing within them. The legend of Dwarka offers a powerful echo of Atlantis, yet rooted in a distinctly spiritual soil. In the vast chronicles of Hindu tradition, this was no ordinary metropolis. Dwarka was the celestial capital of the god Krishna, a fortress of unparalleled splendor said to be built of gold and encrusted with precious stones, a divine kingdom established to uphold cosmic order. Its story, however, culminates in a profound and symbolic end. Following Krishna's departure from the earthly plane, the great city was consumed by the ocean, vanishing beneath the waves as if the sea itself was mourning the passing of a divine era. This was more than a cataclysm. It was the closing of a chapter, the withdrawal of the gods from the human world, leaving behind a legend of a paradise lost to the deep. Yet here, the mystical past makes a startling reach into the present. Off the coast of modern Gujarat, marine archaeologists have mapped a submerged landscape that seems to whisper this ancient story. They have found the outlines of what appear to be massive stone structures, ancient walls, and geometric formations lying silent on the seabed. While scholars debate their exact origin and date, the discovery creates an undeniable resonance. It suggests that the powerful myth of Dwarka's inundation could be a poetic memory, a sacred narrative woven around the actual submergence of a historically significant and advanced coastal settlement. This is not about proving a god built a city of gold, but about understanding how a real event of immense cultural trauma, the loss of a great city to the rising sea, could be processed and preserved for millennia. The physical evidence does not validate the divine details of the myth, but it gives tangible weight to its emotional and historical core. It shows us how a genuine geological event can become the foundation for a profound spiritual truth, transforming a sunken city from a mere location into a permanent symbol of a world that was, and a reminder of the fragile line between our history and our dreams. A single silver key held back the entire ocean. This is the haunting core of the Breton legend of Wise, a city more beautiful than any other, nestled on the coast of France. Its survival depended entirely on a massive dike, and the king kept the one key that opened its gates, ensuring the city was sealed each high tide. But his daughter, Princess Dahat, either driven by a reckless love or deceived by a malevolent stranger, took that key. She unlocked the gate, and the sea rushed in, swallowing the entire city in a single, catastrophic night. The story resonates not because of the scale of the destruction, but because of the intimate, human scale of the failure. This is not the philosophical downfall of a whole society like Atlantis, but a personal tragedy magnified to a civilizational level. The submerged spires of Wise serve as a permanent monument to a single, fatal mistake. It explores how a moment of poor judgment, a lapse in character, or a surrender to temptation can unleash forces far beyond our control, erasing everything we have built. The myth uses the grand, terrifying image of a drowned city to make an intimate point about the weight of our individual choices and how the consequences can ripple out to define an entire world. The legend of Wise transforms the ocean from a force of divine judgment into a mirror of our own personal flaws, showing us that the gates we choose to unlock within ourselves can sometimes flood our entire reality. Sometimes the most powerful legends are not born from ancient texts, but created before our very eyes. In 1959, the valley of the Wuxi Mountain in China was destined to become a reservoir, a project of modern progress. The ancient city of Cheng, the Lion City, which had stood for centuries, was deliberately flooded. Its streets and temples surrendered to the rising waters of the new Qingdao Lake. This was not an act of divine wrath or a geological accident, but a conscious human decision. The result is a place of profound paradox. Resting 130 feet below the surface, the Lion City is not a ruin. It is a perfectly preserved time capsule, a silent metropolis where intricate carvings of dragons and phoenixes adorn archways, and grand memorial arches stand undisturbed by time. The water, devoid of the corrosive forces found in air, has kept the city in a state of suspended animation. Here, the legend is not a memory, but a physical reality waiting in the deep. It is a modern Atlantis made not by myth but by human hands. The existence of Cheng proves something essential about our fascination with sunken worlds. It demonstrates that the power of these stories does not depend on their historical truth, but on the profound emotional resonance of a city submerged. Whether lost to a 1,000-year-old cataclysm or a 20th-century dam, the moment a metropolis slips beneath the waves, it is instantly transformed. It acquires an aura of mystery, of romance, and of poignant loss. We look upon its silent streets and cannot help but project our own stories onto them, wondering about the lives that were lived there and the world that was left behind. The Lion City is a tangible bridge connecting our modern reality to the timeless, universal pull of the sunken city myth. It shows us that the ocean's greatest power may not be its ability to destroy, but its power to preserve, to hide, and to make us dream. This dual nature of water is written into our oldest stories. It is the first element from which life emerges, yet it is also the final, crushing force that can erase entire worlds. A city resting on the ocean floor becomes the ultimate symbol of this paradox. It exists in a state of impossible contradiction, perfectly preserved in the cold, dark silence, yet simultaneously annihilated as a living, breathing community. The water that encases it acts as a perfect tomb, halting the natural decay that sunlight and air would bring to its stone walls and monuments. It is a memory frozen in time, a legacy saved from the gradual fading that claims all things on the surface. Yet this same protective embrace is also a prison of absolute isolation, rendering the city forever inaccessible. Its streets silent and its halls empty of all but the deep sea's currents. This captures a fundamental tension in the human heart, our deep desire to hold onto the past, to preserve a perfect moment or a great achievement against the relentless flow of time. We build libraries, we carve histories into stone, we tell stories to our children, all in an effort to fight against oblivion. The sunken city is that desire made manifest in myth, a perfect capsule sealed against the ravages of change. But its location in the abyssal deep also forces us to confront the other side of that desire, the sobering acceptance that all things must eventually pass. The ocean, in its eternal motion, reminds us that permanence is an illusion. So the sunken city lies in a state of poignant suspension, forever caught between being remembered and being forgotten, a beautiful, haunting monument to everything we wish we could save and everything we know we must ultimately lose. The vast, empty horizon held more than just water. It was a canvas for the unknown. For the first great maritime explorers, every long voyage was a journey into a world of shifting realities. The Phoenicians, masters of the Mediterranean, would have sailed past the stark remains of submerged forests, their ghostly trunks visible beneath the waves. Polynesian navigators, reading the stars and currents to cross the Pacific, would have made landfall on a lush, volcanic island only to have their descendants return generations later to find it gone, vanished back into the ocean from which it rose. These were not supernatural events, but ordinary geological processes, yet for those who witnessed them, the implications were extraordinary. A forest standing on dry land now drowned meant the sea level had risen, swallowing the world of the past. An island that disappeared suggested that the very ground beneath one's feet was not permanent. When these sailors encountered the crumbling stonework of a forgotten people on a remote shore, perhaps the ruins of a settlement from a culture their own had never known, the most logical conclusion was a grand and tragic one. They were looking upon the scattered outposts of a much larger civilization, a continent or a mighty empire that had catastrophically collapsed into the sea, leaving only these lonely, broken sentinels behind. The stories they brought back to port were not lies but interpretations, human attempts to make sense of genuine and baffling discoveries. A strange light on the water at dusk could become the glowing spires of a submerged city. A distant landmass glimpsed through a heat haze became the mountaintops of a drowned world. Over countless retellings around harbor-side fires, observable mystery solidified into mythological truth, giving us legends of lands like Mu or Lemuria, vast continents imagined to explain the strange connections between life forms and cultures separated by immense oceans. These sailors' yarns, woven from real experience and profound wonder, demonstrate how the act of exploration itself actively created the very myths we are still trying to unravel today. The 20th century saw the sunken city archetype mutate into a new and terrifying form, born not from ancient scrolls but from the typewriter of H.P. Lovecraft. In his stories, the lost city is Archaeology, a cyclopean nightmare resting on the floor of the Pacific Ocean. This is not a tomb for a forgotten human king, but the prison of the cosmic entity Cthulhu, a being of such immense scale and alien biology that its very existence mocks human comprehension. Lovecraft took the ancient fear of the deep and filtered it through a modern, scientific lens. The unknown was no longer the domain of capricious gods with human-like motives, but a cold, mechanistic universe governed by forces utterly indifferent to our existence. Archaeology is the architectural expression of this terrifying indifference. It is described as a city of non-Euclidean geometry, a place where angles are all wrong and stone structures curve in ways that defy the logic of our three-dimensional world. To gaze upon it is not to see beauty or a cautionary tale, but to have your mind shattered by the revelation that reality itself is built on foundations we cannot possibly grasp. This was a direct reflection of the anxieties of its time, as new discoveries in physics and astronomy revealed a cosmos of bewildering vastness and complexity. The sunken city was no longer a symbol of lost human virtue, but a vessel for our fear of cosmic insignificance. The endless adaptability of this archetype is its true power. It proves that the image of a city beneath the waves is a primal blank canvas, ready to be painted with the specific fears and wonders of every generation that looks upon the sea and wonders what truly lies in the dark. Before writing even existed, the most important truths were carried on the human voice. Elders would gather the community, and under the vast canopy of stars, they would weave the fabric of their world through stories. A tale about a magnificent city punished for its arrogance and dragged beneath the waves was far more than simple entertainment. It was a powerful cultural engine designed to imprint essential lessons directly onto the heart of the listener. Imagine the visceral impact of such a narrative. The description of towering spires collapsing into the surf, the sounds of a bustling metropolis replaced by the eternal silence of the deep. This created a shared emotional experience that a simple list of rules could never achieve. The story became a living entity passed from one generation to the next, and with each telling it reinforced a critical message. It taught the sacredness of the natural world, the importance of honoring community traditions, and the devastating price of breaking a fundamental taboo. The sunken city was the ultimate cautionary symbol, a moral landmark that everyone could understand. Its chilling fate was a direct consequence of human error, a permanent reminder that the well-being of the people was intrinsically tied to their relationship with the environment and the divine. The remarkable consistency of this motif, from the fjords of Scandinavia to the islands of the South Pacific, points to its universal effectiveness. It successfully encoded a primal warning about the delicate balance of life, a lesson so vital that cultures independently discovered the same unforgettable image to carry it forward through the centuries. The legend was the lesson, and its terrifying beauty ensured it would never, ever be forgotten. The silent libraries of Atlantis held more than just scrolls. They supposedly contained the very blueprints for a perfect world. This is a recurring and powerful thread in these myths, the idea that the city's true treasure was not gold, but a form of knowledge or technology so advanced it borders on magic. Plato himself hinted at this, describing Atlanteans harnessing the power of crystals for energy and light, a concept that feels startlingly modern. This legend of lost wisdom taps directly into a deep and persistent human anxiety, the suspicion that we are not truly progressing, but rather rediscovering what a more enlightened people once knew. The ocean, in its immense and impenetrable darkness, becomes the ultimate safe for this forbidden inheritance. It ensures that such powerful secrets are kept from a humanity still prone to arrogance and conflict, only to be revealed when we have matured enough to wield them without self-destruction. This theme resonates with particular force in our own time. We live in an era of breathtaking technological leaps, from artificial intelligence to genetic engineering, yet these advances often arrive with a deep undercurrent of spiritual unease. We wonder if our tools are outpacing our wisdom. The legend of a sunken city with a clean, limitless power source is not just a fantasy. It is a poignant reflection of our own aspirations and fears. We look into the abyss and see a vision of the utopia we hope to build, and the catastrophic failure we desperately wish to avoid, all preserved together in the same watery grave. Every expedition that searches for these sunken ruins is on some level a quest for that lost instruction manual, a hope that the past holds the key to a more enlightened future. A canvas can hold the ocean's silence in a way words never could. The great painter J.M.W. Turner did not just depict storms and waves, he captured the sublime power of the sea as an elemental force, its mists and lights suggesting the ghostly outlines of fallen towers just beneath the churning surface. This artistic tradition gave the sunken city a visual soul, a haunting beauty that lingers in the mind long after the story is told. It is the romantic vision of crumbling arches draped in gentle seaweed, of marble statues guarded by silent schools of fish, a place where nature has begun to reclaim human ambition with a soft, aquatic embrace. This poignant aesthetic of beauty intertwined with decay provides an irresistible setting for storytellers. Jules Verne sent his characters aboard the Nautilus to wander through the very real ruins of Atlantis, making the legend tangible for a 19th-century audience hungry for discovery. In our own time, blockbuster films translate this imagery into breathtaking spectacle, with the shimmering domes of Atlantis or the bioluminescent spires of Trench becoming central characters in epic narratives. These artistic interpretations do more than just entertain. They keep the myth alive and breathing, allowing each new generation to project its own fears and wonders onto these submerged stones. The sunken city becomes a flexible symbolic stage, a place where we can act out our deepest questions about environmental change, the legacy of fallen empires, or the simple, aching beauty of things that are lost. Every painting, every novel, every film is another ripple moving out from that original, ancient story, ensuring its light never fully fades from our collective imagination. The ancient fear of the sea is no longer a myth but a headline, as satellite data confirms the steady, inexorable rise of ocean levels. The old stories of drowned civilizations shift from fantasy into a chillingly plausible future. The legendary flood sent by angry gods now finds its modern counterpart in the slow-motion deluge of climate change, a consequence not of divine judgment but of collective human action. Our coastal megacities, with their glittering skylines and complex infrastructure, stand where Atlantis once supposedly stood, facing the same elemental force. This is not a punishment from above, but a systemic challenge from within, and the old tales resonate because they provide a narrative framework for a crisis that otherwise feels too vast and abstract to grasp. They give a human face to the statistics, transforming data points about glacial melt into the haunting image of silent streets and submerged monuments. The myth becomes a cultural mirror, forcing us to see our own reflection in the waters that are slowly claiming our shores. It asks a question our ancestors would have understood instantly. What is the true cost of a civilization that loses its way, not through arrogance toward the gods, but through negligence toward the very world that sustains it? The sunken city is no longer just a memory of a lost golden age. It is a potential memory of our own, a future relic waiting for the archaeologists of some distant era to uncover and wonder what went wrong. This connection transforms the legend from a simple story into a vital tool for understanding, a timeless warning that has found its moment in the modern sun. The search for a sunken city is a modern odyssey, powered by sonar and satellite imagery rather than sails and stars. For over a century, explorers and researchers have scoured the seabed, from the Bahamas to the Aegean, driven by a profound need to confirm that legends like Atlantis or Dwarka are more than just stories. Each new expedition, whether led by a university or a private enthusiast, generates a wave of public excitement, a testament to how deeply these myths are embedded in our collective consciousness. Even when the findings are ambiguous, a strange geometric shape on the ocean floor, or stone structures that could be natural formations, the conversation they spark is what truly matters. The debate itself, the intense scrutiny over a blurry sonar image or a curiously placed rock, keeps the ancient story alive and evolving in the modern world. These searches are a powerful dialogue between our technological present and our mythic past, where data is interpreted through the vivid filter of ancient texts. A core sample revealing a layer of freshwater shells in a saltwater environment becomes potential evidence of a sunken freshwater spring, just as Plato described. An oddly shaped artifact pulled from the sediment is instantly measured against descriptions of Atlantean architecture. The scientific process becomes a form of contemporary storytelling, where instruments act as new oracles, their readings deciphered with a mix of analytical rigor and hopeful belief. This quest reveals a fundamental human impulse, the desire to find a physical anchor for our most profound narratives. We are not satisfied with a story's symbolic truth alone. We long for the tangible proof, the piece of carved stone that whispers, "You were right to believe." This relentless pursuit bridges the seemingly unbridgeable gap between the laboratory and the temple, proving that our need to find literal truth in our oldest stories is a driving force as powerful as any ocean current. Yet another layer of the myth suggests these cities were never truly lost. In some traditions, the descent beneath the waves was not a punishment, but a deliberate act of preservation. Imagine a civilization possessing profound knowledge and a peaceful way of life, seeing a great cataclysm approaching. Perhaps it was an ice age, a devastating war, or a plague that ravaged the surface world. Faced with this existential threat, they made a monumental choice. They used their advanced understanding of the world to seal their entire metropolis away, submerging it beneath the protective blanket of the ocean. In this interpretation, the water is not a destructive force, but a shield. The city becomes a pristine ark, a living time capsule that safeguards a seed of a better world, waiting patiently in the silent dark for the moment it is safe to bloom once more. This transforms the entire narrative. The ocean shifts from being a cold, unforgiving grave into a nurturing womb, a place of potential rebirth and renewal. This hopeful twist on the ancient tale speaks to a profoundly optimistic strand of human thought. It is the belief that even in the face of total collapse, something precious can be saved from the wreckage of history. It is the idea that civilization itself is cyclical, moving through phases of destruction and regeneration, and that wisdom can be preserved to guide the next ascent. The sunken city, in this light, is not a memorial to our failures but a promise of our resilience, a hidden sanctuary holding the blueprint for a future renaissance. A consistent blueprint appears when we compare these stories from across the world. The Greek Atlantis falls due to its imperial hubris. The Hindu Dwarka submerges following the departure of its divine king, a spiritual turning point. In Welsh lore, Cantre'r Gwaelod drowns when a negligent keeper fails to close the sea gate, a simple failure of duty. And among the indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest, tales tell of villages consumed by the ocean as punishment for disrespecting the natural order or breaking a sacred taboo. The specifics of the failure differ, but the core structure remains unshakable. A society, whether grand or humble, commits a fundamental error. Then, a sudden, catastrophic deluge descends, often in a single day and night. The final result is always the same, a city eternally preserved beneath the waves, a permanent lesson written in water and stone. This remarkable consistency is the key that unlocks a deeper truth. It is highly unlikely that every culture was independently recording the same historical tsunami or the same submerged continent. The pattern is too perfect, too morally precise. Instead, these stories function as a collective moral compass, each one calibrated by a different culture, yet pointing toward the same universal north. They are not reports from a shared past, but reflections of shared anxieties. What is the true price of arrogance? How do we maintain a respectful balance with the powerful world around us? What are the consequences when a community forgets its core values? The sunken city is the unforgettable answer, a symbol so powerful that cultures around the globe independently arrived at it to teach the same essential lessons about justice, responsibility, and our fragile place in the grand scheme of life. This spiritual adoption of sunken cities often begins with a single, powerful claim that all known history is merely a footnote to a forgotten epoch. In the late 19th century, the Theosophical Society, founded by Helena Blavatsky, wove the legend of Atlantis directly into its intricate cosmology. It was presented not as one lost city, but as the home of the fourth root race of humanity, a towering civilization of spiritually advanced giants. From this sunken continent, Theosophists taught, all subsequent cultures and esoteric wisdom ultimately flowed. This single narrative move transformed the myth. It was no longer a cautionary tale for sailors or a philosophical allegory. It became a sacred history. By anchoring their modern spiritual system to such a deep and mysterious past, movements like Theosophy granted their teachings an instant lineage, a perceived antiquity that stretched back into the mists of time. The sunken city provided a perfect blank slate, a place with no verifiable archaeology, where one could inscribe any origin story and claim it was preserved by the ocean's secret keepers. This pattern repeats itself through countless New Age belief systems today. You will find Atlantis cited as the source of crystal healing, of psychic channeling, and of lost technologies that harmonized with the earth. Why does this specific legend hold such enduring power for these spiritual seekers? It offers a profound solution to a very human longing, the desire for a pure, uncorrupted beginning. Our documented history is messy, filled with war and social struggle, but a civilization that flourished in perfection and then vanished beneath the waves, that story represents a spiritual clean slate. It suggests that our highest knowledge and purest state of being are not things we must invent, but things we must remember, things that are waiting for us, preserved in that symbolic, sunken vault. The city beneath the sea becomes less a physical location and more a spiritual homeland, a place we are all trying to return to on a soul level. This spiritual repurposing demonstrates the ultimate flexibility of the archetype, proving that a sunken city can hold not just water, but the deepest hopes of those searching for meaning in a complicated world. Our world has been charted down to the last square mile by satellites, yet the ocean floor remains a deeper darkness than outer space. This final frontier holds onto its secrets, and the legend of the sunken city thrives precisely because it resists the glare of total explanation. In an age where every fact is a click away, we are left with a profound psychological hunger for the unexplained, a need for genuine mystery that cannot be satisfied by data alone. The idea that a lost metropolis could be sleeping just beyond the reach of our submersibles offers a tantalizing blank spot on our mental maps. It is a sanctuary for wonder, a place where history is not a closed book but a story still being written by the tides. This sense of awe is not a distraction from progress, it is the very engine of it. The same burning curiosity that makes us gaze at a sonar anomaly and whisper, "What if?" is the same force that propelled us to the moon and pushed us to decode the human genome. We are driven to explore not just by the promise of answers, but by the beauty of the questions themselves. The undying appeal of these myths confirms a fundamental truth about who we are. We require these pockets of the unknown, whether they are real geographical mysteries or powerful cultural stories, to fuel our imagination and remind us that the world is still capable of magic. They compel us to keep searching the horizon, not because we are certain of what we will find, but because we cannot bear the thought of a universe with no more secrets left to give. The silent spires of Atlantis now glow not just in legend, but on a billion screens. This ancient archetype has been fully embraced by the machinery of modern entertainment, becoming a central set piece in blockbuster films, sprawling video game worlds, and immersive theme park attractions. In this commercial transformation, the profound philosophical warnings can sometimes fade, replaced by the thrilling spectacle of underwater adventure and high-stakes rescue. Yet this very process of popularization performs a vital, almost alchemical function. It breathes new life into the old bones of the story, ensuring its survival for generations who might never open a philosophy text. A young person navigating the sunken ruins of a digital kingdom is not just playing a game, they are walking the same symbolic streets that Plato first mapped, even if they do not yet know his name. The myth becomes a living currency of the imagination, traded and remixed across global culture. This constant recycling from sacred text to Saturday morning cartoon and back again proves the idea's incredible resilience. It is no longer just a story, but a versatile cultural tool, as adaptable as water itself. The core themes of lost glory and the price of hubris are repackaged, but they are never fully erased. They linger as an emotional undertow beneath the dazzling surface, a quiet reminder that even our most fantastical entertainment can carry the echo of a 2,000-year-old warning. The true power of this ancient story lies in its beautiful refusal to be just one thing. We have seen how it can be a geological memory of coastal lands lost to rising seas, a psychological map of our own hidden depths, and a stark moral fable about the collapse of civilizations. It is simultaneously a spiritual promise of a hidden paradise and a modern warning about our environmental future. This is not a flaw in the legend, but the very source of its endless vitality. A single, simple explanation would have been forgotten centuries ago. Instead, the sunken city thrives on its own rich contradictions, offering a different facet of its meaning to each generation that discovers it. For a climate scientist, it is a symbol of vulnerability. For a psychologist, it is a metaphor for the unconscious. For a spiritual seeker, it is a promise of enlightenment waiting in the deep. The myth becomes a cultural mirror, reflecting back whatever questions we are most urgently asking about ourselves and our world. Its enduring magic is not that it provides a single answer, but that it holds a universe of possible meanings within its silent, submerged walls. This incredible adaptability ensures its survival, allowing it to speak to the core of the human experience across thousands of years, proving that the most profound truths are not found in simple stories, but in the complex, layered tapestries we weave to understand our place in the vast and mysterious ocean of time. From the philosophical warnings of Plato to the cosmic horrors of Lovecraft, the image of the sunken city endures because it is far more than a simple story. It is a primal archetype that gives shape to our deepest anxieties about catastrophe and our most profound hopes for redemption. These narratives provide a framework for processing the immense forces of nature and the delicate balance of human civilization. They ask us what truly remains when the waters rise and what legacy we wish to leave in our wake. As we navigate our own era of uncertainty with its own unique challenges, these ancient echoes from the deep serve as a timeless mirror. They reflect our collective values, the things we cherish and fear to lose, and the undeniable power of a narrative that has sailed across millennia. So the next time you stand at the edge of the ocean, listening to the rhythm of the waves, remember the stories sleeping in the abyss. Let them inspire you to look more deeply into the myths that shape our understanding of the world. And we would love to hear from you. Which of these sunken city legends holds a special fascination for your own imagination? Share your thoughts in the comments below.